Well, yeah. So
Gotta
either
be-
way, business and politics, I do think there's a lot of similarities. I know that, the negotiating is different. I know that, that there's policy and politics is different than business, right? But boy, we have to
Right.
have policy and regulations we adhere to in business. I think there's a lot of similarities. People say there's a lot different, but where do you find on the marketing side for you and the political side, then going to business? Where do you find similarities? Where do you find big differences?
Well, the biggest difference is in politics, you only have to get elected once every 2 or 4 years.
Yep.
In business, you've got to show up every day, and you can lose your job. There's no terms in business. Like you can even have a contract and they can say you're out. So, the election day is every day in business, whether it's in helping your clients with their growth strategies, dealing with a crisis, helping them institute their programs. In politics, you have more time. You can take a longer term view, and ultimately, you need to get your momentum back by the time that there's election day. Like when I worked for Mike Bloomberg, his first 2 years were so rocky. He instituted a ban of smoking in public places, which the bar owners and the restaurants went absolutely crazy. He raised taxes, 2 very unpopular decisions, but we knew that he had 4 years. We knew that he could recover, and those were the right decisions. And so one of the things you learn is in politics, you can do the right things, and you have time to let people realize. In business, you can make that same right decision, but you've got to sell it in right away, and your results will be judged in the first 30 days. And certainly, if you're a public company, every quarter you're getting evaluated. So that's a very different mentality.
Sure. So so like you're saying, the decision you make in the business decisions market, when you're getting judged fast and you can be fired any time. Yeah. But the long-term relationships are rewarding as heck compared to politics, where, hey, you might have the best relationship in the world, but if that person loses, they might be on to something else. Or if they win, they may find somebody else. Either way, shorter-term relationships on the politics side is probably the disadvantage, right?
Well, the other thing that you'll find interesting in business, the power is in yes. The power is in getting that deal done, closing it, moving forward. And so, like, if you get something done by saying yes. In politics, all the power is in no. I'm not going to support your measure. I'm not going to get behind you. You're not going to get this done. Like, one of the things that I found so interesting during the last 4 years in Trump is just how often the Democrats were saying no. And that's where all their power came from. So now they control the House. They've got a virtual tie in the Senate. They control the White House. Now they've got to switch from no to yes. And now the Republicans are in no. And so it's a very different mindset. So as you think about office, think about the power in no versus what you're used to, which is in the power in yes.
True. And then, and how do you, in business, we have to often, we also often have conflict, whether it's teammates that aren't happy, whether it's customers not happy, whatever, you have these conflicts that you have to get through. But I feel like the common cause of serving the customer first and best is an easy one, right? I mean, because we can get through a lot of things with that. I feel like in politics, that's not often the case. Often it's an agenda instead of serving the customer, the taxpayer. And it bugs the heck out of me that I see that so much, right? Where I just don't understand it, where in politics, I don't care, right, left, whatever it is, let's figure out the solution that serves the taxpayer best. That should be the answer, right?
Right.
But I think that, because of career politics, right, I think that's changed a lot. And so for me, I don't know what I call it. I'm calling it, citizen warriors, or, you can call it statesmen or stateswomen. I don't know what you call it, but, I want to be a person that helps build, politics of servant-minded people that are there for the citizens and not themselves. And so when you have an unsustainable system, whatever it is, in our case, it's our pension system, totally unsustainable at $420 billion now of total debt. 30% of our income is going to, and we're not even paying our interest, all of our interest, and we're paying zero principal, right? We're paying half the interest, no principal, and it's 28% to be exact of our income. So when you look at that, you say, that there's no way that's sustainable. We can't serve our citizens of Illinois if you have an unsustainable product like that, right? So people that run and win shouldn't be part of that pension. I mean, they should say, I'm here to serve, so of course I can't take this pension along with everybody else. It's unsustainable. We have to restructure this in order for our state to survive, right? So again, I look at those type of things and say, if we had people that ran that said, hey, I'm like the old days, I'm going to do my terms, my couple terms, and then I'm out. Then I'm going back to work, going back to my family, whatever going back to it is, right? If we had more of that, I just think we have a better shot at serving our citizens better.
Well, I think, look, as you think about your issues and think about how you're going to rally support, getting people to get behind your agenda, to see in business, we're used to outcome-based work. So have them have confidence in the outcome, and then here's how we get there. And that's what a campaign is about, is do you have confidence in me to deliver this outcome? And whatever it is. And I learned that really in politics, and then applying it to business, where business leaders, I'll give you the flip side of business. So you can get fired every day, but if you miss your numbers in Q1, business leaders always think they can make it up in Q2 or Q3 or Q4. And then all of a sudden you can have like 2 years of bad performance and you still might be in your job. That doesn't work in politics. You hear about kicking the can, and this is what you're dealing with. You can kick the can, but ultimately someone's going to have to deal with it. And that's kind of what you're doing now. Is like, politicians, you want to keep kicking the can, eventually you're going to have a really massive problem. And that's what you're talking about now. People have just kicked the can. It's not my problem. Next administration will take care of it. And now you're stuck with your problems.
Yeah, and again, but I look at business, first and foremost, if we don't serve our customer, we have no business. If our customers aren't loving what we give them or we serve them with, we're just not going to have any business in the future, right? Or if we kick the can budget-wise, and again, we just reviewed all our budgets in my companies with my teammates, right? And I challenge all these budgets because bottom line is we need to create enterprise value in every business. We need to make sure that we're serving a customer at the highest level possible, right? But if we lose money year after year after year, and we don't do a budget in Illinois, they haven't had a balanced budget for like 20 years. Okay, so if I didn't have a budget in my businesses, we would be a runaway train, right?
You'd be bankrupt.
So,
you'd be bankrupt, and banks would be chasing you.
Exactly. So again, that's the difference. Like, you get away with it in politics somehow. But boy, if you could, and I know it's not that simple, but boy, if you can operate any community, any city, any state, any government, right, like you have to operate a business, the pension would not be $420 billion on a $42 billion a year budget and taking up 30% without paying half the interest and no principal. If you operate like a business, could happen. The bank would say, no, that does not work. Really, sorry, you need to change that budget, right? So
yeah. Well, didn't Rahm sold the Skyway, right?
You know what, Rahm and Daley sold some stuff down there that wasn't very sustainable in the sale. They spent all the money. They sold. Daley sold parking meters and something else, and Rahm sold something. But the bottom line is, when they sold it, they didn't treat it like a business. They didn't treat it. It should have been treated like, hey, if I sell this to you, I want recurring revenues for the next 100 years or for good, or 20 years, and then I own it again. Instead, they sold it and then took the money and spent it right away. So there's nothing there anyway. So there's great, and that's called the P3s is what I call those, right? Public-private partnerships.
Yeah.
If they're done right, they're awesome. Because you take government out of maintaining, and you leave it up to the business, right, or the whoever the business is, right, whether it's a huge construction company, a huge bridge company, or whoever it is, right, you put it on their backs to maintain it efficiently, and you get recurring revenues. If it's the right revenues, right, it's a great deal. And Indiana, there's some states that have done a really good job with that. Indiana, Mitch Daniels back in the day did some good stuff for that. I know there's other people across the world that have done great P3s that end up costing them very little in the long run. They make a ton of money because they got somebody very frugal on the management end of it instead of themselves, right?